Before I bring Garry Cobb on, I started the program out and I said this to you. Howie Roseman has two number ones and Jalen Hurts. Would you make a player swap with Baltimore for Lamar Jackson? Let's bring JAKIB in. I'm sure he's smiling on that one. He goes, Sills, right out of the gate.
I tell you, that's that would be very interesting. I'll tell you that, because you have similarly talented quarterbacks, and one has already shown you that you can get knocked out for almost a season. So I don't think that Lamar is as durable as Jalen, but
Gary, I said this. I think Jalen plays smarter.
Yeah, I probably
than Lamar does when it comes to how he approaches the game.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I think Lamar is more gifted athletically.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's the unanimous MVP a couple of years ago. Let's not forget he's only 25.
That's right.
But it just seems to me, doesn't it? Like Brady is not Aaron Rodgers in athleticism. However, Brady's smarter.
Yeah.
Is it kind of like that?
Well, I think there definitely is some of that. Now, you talk about Brady and Rodgers, I think Brady's probably more under control, in some ways he has to be, than, let's say, Rodgers. He's thought through everything. Rodgers likes to, go out there and create and be creative and everything. But if you talk about Jalen and Lamar, I think you hit it right in that Lamar, he's faster, quicker, but Jalen, I got to, especially after this year, but he's done it 1 year, but he had a great mentality when it comes to finding ways to win.
Would you do the deal?
Or would I do the deal? I don't think I couldn't see. Man, that's tough. I don't think I would do the deal.
That's what I said. I was like, if I'm going to gamble, but here's why.
But I don't know Lamar as well as I know, and I'm not talking about what just know him personally. I'm talking about as a player.
Yeah.
That I know Jalen more as a player than I know Lamar. And I think with the right coach, I think he needs to be coached to play a little differently. And the other thing is he needs to be where you need to make sure you're getting players that fit him. Now they got Andrews. Andrews is his number one receiver.
He's a star.
Yeah, I mean Andrews is a player and everything, but he hasn't had, and I don't, can he really flourish and get the ball to the guys enough? That's going to be interesting. And I don't know his, the coach's mentality and all that. I know Harbaugh, though. I know the head coach, but I know the offensive coordinator. I don't know their mentality as well as I know the Eagles situation,
I know a guy that you do know, and this is why I paused and said I'd probably stick with Jalen if I'm gambling. Mm-hmm. Doesn't this tell you about this Lamar? Now, for some of you out there, Lamar Jackson has demanded a trade. He did it on March 2nd. Mm-hmm. So they're at the NFL owner meetings now today as we speak in Phoenix.
Yeah.
But here for me, Gary, you and I both know the kind of man Ozzie Newsome is. He drafted him, brought him in.
Yep.
And he's still in that organization. If he's recommending that you not pay him $50 million, doesn't that make you pause? That's what made me pause today.
That definitely does. I mean, knowing Ozzie, he's a straight up guy.
Straight up shooter.
Come on, I could have to say I couldn't guarantee all that money. Lamar, man, you've already shown you can go down. Come on.
Last 3 years.
Come on, man. If anything, I'm looking for a way where I can keep you healthy and everything, but we can't have this. I mean, if we have this, How can we give you a guaranteed deal, that crazy deal they gave over in Cleveland that's just flat out crazy, man? We can't do that. We can't just guarantee all that money and put the team in that type of vulnerability when you can go down. I mean, there's no way you can guarantee all that money to Lamar. No way.
I think Baltimore is telling you, and again, if the tail in all of this is, these quarterbacks that are dual threat, Gary. Look at Cam Newton, how Carolina. I mean, that's actually criminal. How they played him and how they ran him into the ground.
That's right.
And what you're trying to avoid is not having Jalen Hurts and Lamar. And look at Lamar. He's going down that same road as Cam Newton.
And some of that's the player. See, even with Cam, some of that was the player. Where you're going like, dude, stop. You're not going to survive. What are you doing, man? Like he's taking the ball, taking off. He got 5 guys. He's trying to drag all of them. Dude, you're not going to make it playing like that. So, and I think Lamar has done some of that, where he was in a vulnerable position, but he realized, look, dude, get down. Now you see Jalen, he will tend to get on the ground.
Yep.
Even if you're in a game, if it's a regular season game, come on, it's not worth taking that shot, man. Get on the ground. You're too important, So and playing that way, and I would say that's what I would say, that Jalen he's more under control.
Yeah.
Even though was it
Chicago.
I guess was it Atlanta or the Chicago game? The Chicago game. I mean, he got a little bit where they were feeding the ball to him too much. Going like, dude, stop it, because it's there. And people say, "Oh, Gary, don't worry about it." I said, "Listen, man, I done been around this game too much. This dude is going to get hurt. Look at the way he's running, man. You're taking those shots, somebody's going to get you." So
let me throw this at you here. As of March 27th, do you think this football team is as good roster-wise as the 2022 team?
No way.
What's your biggest concern?
Well, I'm concerned about the linebackers. I'm concerned about the defensive tackles. I mean, you don't have you've got to get more out of the kid. So you got to get more out of him. And I don't know where he's going to be at. If you expect him to be a starter and everything, is he going to give you what Hargrave? They don't have a guy that's going to replace Hargrave with the pressure that he put. Because I think Hargrave, sometimes he really contributed to everybody's sacks. Because sometimes he breaks through and the guy runs into one of the ends.
I think Fletcher's play in the second half of the season, Gary, I think was a result of how well Hargrave was playing, because you saw a lot of double teams. Now, I'll never sit here and tell you that I thought Javon Hargrave was a hell of a run stopper, but I tell you, he was effective enough. But what the key for him was, he was so versatile on a 3 technique, a 2 technique, a 1 technique. You can move him all over the place, and he was effective in the pass rush. Yeah, and I think he helped that entire interior along with TJ.
No doubt about it. I think that the fact that San Francisco gives him that type of money, and you're not talking about an organization that doesn't know what they're doing. You got to give credit that San Francisco knows what they're doing, but they saw him that if you're going to leave him one-on-one, he's going to be beating that guy most of the time. Most of the time he is beating whoever that guard or the center, whoever's on him one-on-one. If you leave him one-on-one, he's going to beat that guy most of the time. I think that he proved that, and that's why he got that money. But so they're missing that. I don't know about I don't know about the linebackers. I don't know about the safeties. I don't know these kids. They draft some of these. They sign the kid. And I read a little bit about them. A lot of them haven't done anything in the NFL yet. So they got to prove they can do something. So
are you more worried about the new faces or the new coaches? Gary, it's an entirely new coaching staff, secondary coach, linebacker coach, defensive coordinator. There's 5 new coaches on that side of the ball. And to sit here and to go like this, well, I think they'll be as effective, or maybe not as effective, but they'll be I think that's wishful thinking here
I
right
think it,
now,
I
man.
think it is. I think it is wishful thinking. And if I were to say right now, there are major question marks. You got question marks about, the secondary to a degree because of the safeties. I mean, your safeties have got to be able to. At times they're caught, manned up, but most of the time though they're tackling. They've got to tackle well. They got to recognize things. See, that's the big thing is the recognizing, plays and things. And a lot of time, if a guy hasn't had a lot of experience, it's really a lot of times too much to ask for him to come in and recognize the play instantly. And if he doesn't recognize it, you're going to be giving up yardage, both running plays and pass plays, because the safeties play an integral part, especially now with the way they spread everybody out and everything. And your safeties are in, they got to be able to make tackles in the open field, one-on-one tackles against playmakers. They got to be able to do that. And the linebackers too. And I will give TJ Edwards. I mean, he had a great year. He's not the most athletically talented linebacker, but he's smart. And most of the time, he's headed where the ball's going. And he made a lot of tackles, one-on-one tackles out in the open field. And I don't know that I see them being able to replace that right away. Whoever goes in there, I think it'll take him some time to grow into the way that he played. And the safety spot. I mean, they got big plays out of the safeties too. So I don't know that they're going to be able to replace those guys right away. It's going to be a drop in when it comes to the quality of play.
Garry, draft coming up in a couple weeks. Mm-hmm. What's the area you'd like to see Howie address first?
Well, I mean, I think they're going to do something at the defensive line. I wouldn't, if they could get the kid
Carter
from Georgia. Yeah, Carter from Georgia. Of course, he would be a great addition because, you got that kind of quality and you got a guy who can come in and be such a dominant player.
Garry, he's like Jerome.
You say he's like Jerome, huh?
Yeah. From what I'm understanding, I know a couple of people on the coaching staff down there at Georgia, and Tracy was a teammate of mine.
Yeah.
Tracy recruited him and coached him.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a little wildness to him.
Yeah.
He's got to grow up. I mean, Jerome took me,
yeah.
He had Reggie and he had Seth and he had all those veteran guys that were there and all those guys that kind of kept him in the building in there. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I mean, but Jerome had a loose wheel about him a little bit,
right.
So
without a doubt. Yeah.
This kid's a little bit like that. So, and I think the leadership in the Eagle locker room could probably take care of that guy.
Yeah, they probably. I think they will be able to deal with that. I mean, if he's, and I know this kid had the situation where, he had the accident and all that. I think this would be a good environment for him. He comes in, he's the player they say he is. I think he'll flourish in the atmosphere. There's no doubt about it because they got plenty of veteran leadership that's going to, stay on top of him and make sure, they keep him going in the right direction. But he's the one that with the type of talent that would come in, that he would be a huge addition and he would fill a huge gap there. And that would be just because if you had somebody who's just, especially he's young and he's tough to single block where you're thinking about, well, who are we going to double team? You're thinking like that. If he's one of those kind of guys, he would be a huge addition for them. So that's what I would like to see them address. And if they can, that's what they're going to address because that's the way the Eagles think. They're going to hit that defensive line first if they can. And that's a big if.
Two last questions for you.
Otherwise, I think they'll go outside. They'll get a outside pass rusher.
Do you think they'd be interested in that Jeffrey Simmons kid who Tennessee has on market now? He's a young defensive tackle.
Yeah, I'm familiar with him.
I'll tell you what, Garry.
Yeah.
I don't know if Tennessee wants to give another one of their players to the Eagles like they did a year ago.
I know.
But, I mean, that kid Simmons.
Yes. Simmons,
he's
yes.
Like 26, 27.
Yes.
Would you give that 10th pick up for him?
Hey, I'll drive down and pick him up, Well, now you talk about that 10th pick. I think so. I think you would definitely be,
10th pick for Jeffrey Simmons.
I mean,
he's the preeminent. I think he's Fletcher Cox.
Well, I
10 years ago.
I think yes, because if you want to go after the bowl again, that's what you're thinking. If that's what yes, that's the move that puts you right back there again, I think.
You put Jeffrey Simmons on that defensive line, you're back in the game.
I think you're back there. I mean, look at the rest of the NFC. I think you're back there. You got to say, boy, hey, we're going after.
So if you're Howie, you do this.
Yes.
Here's the 10th pick for Jeffrey Simmons.
I think so.
And then Tennessee takes their running back, dumps Henry, and the Eagles sign Henry. I don't know. Hey, I'm just trying to think like Howie vision.
I'll tell you, the thing is, you get Simmons, you're back there, man, because you got this offense, and now you got a guy who is a disruptive force in the middle there. You know you got the outside pass rushers. You're trying to start this party all over again. You're going now the party didn't end right, but we're trying to start this party back up. That's exactly what you're doing. You get Simmons, whoo, man.
You're back in the game here.
I think you're back in the game, man. Is right. Woo.
Does the Hurts deal get done before June 1?
Well, the whole thing is, I believe, and what is it? If they do it afterwards, where they get a little bit more room, so I'd probably say no. I'd say
closer to training camp in July.
Closer to training camp and everything, yeah. Because that's one thing Howie would do. He's good at, which is playing those dates and getting as much room as he can get. And I think that that they'll probably end up getting something done where it's friendly to the team. I think they will, because
Garry, I can't wait to see how this thing plays out here, man. I mean, I can't wait because, dude, I think he's gonna make a move like he did a year ago, doing something in the draft, because he's got to pay the quarterback, right?
That's right.
You don't have a lot of money, and this is why I'm saying this, because if they had the money, wouldn't they have signed Bobby Wagner? You put Bobby Wagner on that team for a year or two for $7 million. Yeah. Instead, you signed a kid from Chicago who the Bears signed, the Eagle guy, TJ Edwards, to upgrade. Yeah. And you got the downgrade linebacker.
I know.
If they were really going to spend the money, Garry, you would have dropped that $7 million on Wagner.
Yeah, but that's not the Eagles, though. They're not going to pay that kind of money. They're not going to do that with the linebacker. They're not going to do it. But that defensive lineman, like you mentioned, Simmons,
Jeffrey Simmons,
they'd be all over him like white on rice, man. Come on.
Can't wait. Garry, thank you, my friend.
All right. Have a good one.
You got it. Garry Cobb, Fox 29. Make sure you check him out. We're going to hit on that. We come back out of the timeout. Jeffrey Simmons to the Eagles. What would you give up for that? Hit the like button. Keep it here on the